Welcome to the Catastrophic Comeback podcast with American injury lawyer Clark Speaks, helping you find hope, purpose, and joy after a catastrophic injury.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Catastrophic Comeback. I am thrilled today to have Collin McLaren as our guest. Collin is a former client and just a phenomenal human being, and I'm excited for you to meet him and hear about his story. Welcome, Collin.
Thank you, sir.
Collin, this podcast really was designed with you in mind, right? Like, I will never forget going to your hospital room in 2018, right?
Yep. 2017.
2017, and meeting with you there, and you had been through just a unbelievably traumatic event.
Yes, sir.
And I remember thinking, you were 23 at the time?
Yes, sir.
I remember thinking, how on earth is a 23-year-old supposed to process all this? You know?
Yeah.
And then I saw you process it over time and do the things that you needed to do to rebuild your life. And I was always just blown away by that. So that's what this podcast is for, is to be there in that room with people and help them find a way to recover physically, financially, and emotionally, and then also go on and rebuild their lives to where they have, purpose, meaning, joy, and those types of things.
Well, there's always going to be purpose, meaning, joy, whether you're in a wheelchair or not.
Let me ask you this. Can you just tell us a little bit about the accident, the injury, and what happened there?
I was on the way to go pick up a backhoe in South Carolina. I had a 10-wheel truck with a backhoe trailer in the back, and I was going down this old country road, and there's 4 cornfields, no corn in them. I saw this BMW coming from a long ways away, and the big trucks, you can't stop, you can't go fast. So I knew they weren't stopping, so I just braced for impact, and they hit me in the back left tire, I'm sorry. And it flipped me, and it just snapped my back. I wasn't bleeding a drop or nothing. And them 2 ladies paid the ultimate price, but I'm just lucky to be alive, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I was pinned in that truck for way too long.
How long were you in the truck?
About 50 minutes.
Wow. What's the next? Do you remember everything that happened after that?
I remember I didn't ever get knocked out at all. I remember every single thing. I didn't even have pain until the jaws of life made my body straight. And that's when it, like a light switch.
Did you know the severity of your injuries then and there?
As soon as I flipped over, I felt like a little tingling in my legs, and I slapped my leg, and I was like, I broke my back. I instantly knew.
Can you tell me a little bit about the recovery process, that initial recovery process?
Well, the first week I was in Myrtle Beach, it was just basically making sure the surgery was fine and everything. And then Workman's Comp sent me to Shepherd Center in Atlanta, and that's when the actual recovery started. And
what surgery was it?
They just put pins and 2 rods and a bunch of pins, and basically, I don't know, titanium screws.
That's probably designed to create stability in your back.
Yeah, it just replaced that one thing that broke.
Where is the Shepherd Center?
That's in Atlanta, Georgia.
What's your impression of that place? Is it a good facility?
Yeah, it was a really good facility. I liked everybody there. They're nice.
So I've been there several times to visit clients and that type of thing. And one thing I've always been impressed is that that's their focus. That's what they do. And they really are serious about trying to help people who have spinal injuries make as complete a recovery as possible and do whatever what they wanted to do before, they want to be able to do it afterwards.
They're good, because I told them I don't want to do the therapy a bunch of times, and they said, nope, get up.
Let's back up a little bit. What was going on in your life before this accident? What was your life like? What were you doing? What was your family dynamic? What did you like to do every day?
I was before the accident, I was working mostly out of town. I would work from Monday to Friday out of town, whether it be Florence, South Carolina, or Columbia. And I'd just come home on the weekends. If it was hunting season, I'd be hunting or fishing or skateboarding.
You had a very active life, right?
Yeah, I was there. I still can't stay in the house. I just
What did you do? What was your family dynamic like?
At the time, me and my daughter's mother lived in the house with my dad. So he was working on boats and stuff, and we were just living there for a little bit until I got saved up enough money to get us a house.
And how old was your daughter at the time?
She was probably like 2 months.
Okay, so during that week at the hospital in Myrtle Beach, what are some of the things that are going through your head when you're coming to terms with how your life has changed?
I knew my life changed when I slapped my dang leg in the truck. I knew my life was changed right then, and basically I knew right then I had to do what I had to do because I thought, obviously I didn't know if I was going to make it or not, and my daughter was the number one focus.
So when you say you didn't know if you're going to make it or not, you thought at that moment that there's a reasonable chance you might die.
Yeah, there's diesel fuel dripping all over me and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
What other questions or what other fears did you have in your mind?
Just getting out of there, really. And then obviously, am I ever going to be able to walk again? And you know what I mean? And I knew I wasn't going to be able to skateboard again, but I knew somehow, some way I was going to find out a way to hunt and fish.
Do the things that you enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
What about that? So what about that week? Was there a period of time that it took to sort of process the new normal for you?
Yeah, it took. There's I ain't gonna say it was all dang good. There's a lot of bad days where I'd sit in the bed and cry all day. You know what I mean? Just thinking about crap I can't do. But when I was in the Shepherd Center, one of the doctors told me, like, get up, let's take a walk. And he walked me down the hallway, or I was rolling, obviously, and he was like, see that room right there? And then older or younger guy on a ventilator. And he's like, he's going to have somebody with him the rest of his life. And he's like, you see how you got down this hallway? And right from then on, I was like, I ain't going to complain. Nah, I'm good.
So what's the takeaway from that? The takeaway is that it could have been worse.
That doctor said that a couple inches could have changed your life forever.
And the first thing that could have happened is you're lucky to be alive.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's something that you mentioned to me that I thought was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Even thinking about talking with you today, I had lost sight of that's an important part of this story is just how blessed you are to be alive after something like that.
Yeah, because I remember getting out of the helicopter and going into the recovery room, and they turned me on my side, and then I was out. And I just woke up in a hospital room. That's when I'm lucky to be alive.
Wow.
That's when you're
did
thinking
they
about
put you
it.
out, or did you just pass out from some other from some
No,
natural-
I really don't know. I remember going in there and they put me on a flatbed and they turned me on my side, and that's the last thing I remember.
Okay, so were there any other things, what you talked about during that, there were some dark days. What were those dark days like? What were your fears? What were your concerns? What were you thinking during those
Just
dark times?
basically down. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get up out of this hospital bed, and you know what I mean? And I'm stuck. You know what I'm saying? Me thinking I'm gonna have to have somebody to help me the rest of my life. Me asking, because before the accident, I never really asked people for help with anything. You know what I mean? I would try to do every work for something, you know. But that's what I was thinking. I was gonna have to ask somebody, and I hate that. I still
Yeah.
hate it.
So you're just naturally a very independent person and
Yes,
always
sir.
have been.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay, can you talk to me about, you mentioned the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to me about what rehab was like, rehabilitation was like? Maybe at the hospital, maybe
Mm-hmm.
at at the Shepherd Center and wherever else you might have uh,
Yeah. Well,
received
at
rehabilitation.
the hospital in Myrtle Beach, they were just really making sure I was stable enough to go to rehab and
Okay.
everything. So basically, the rehab really started at Shepherd Center, and
How long was that process?
I was at Shepherd Center for 8 weeks.
Right. Okay. And what does that look like? What does that rehabilitation process look like?
It's everything. I mean, they didn't even know I had a punctured lung until I got to Shepherd Center. So they had to put a chest tube in my lung, and I couldn't lift over 5 pounds for I think like 4 weeks. So 4 weeks out of them 8 weeks, I couldn't get stronger. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's just them like trying to make sure you got your upper body. It's just basically like them trying to work out every muscle that could possibly work still.
So you're trying to develop your upper body strength
Hmm.
so that you can do the things you need to do to be independent,
That's
so
how
that
you
you
get
don't have to
around.
depend on other people.
Yeah.
Was
Hmm.
that effective?
Yeah, it was.
So did
I still have the same stretching bands that I got from Shepherd Center.
so they're helping you get stronger and learn techniques to be able
Yeah.
to do things independently, so you don't have to depend on other people. Wow.
They taught me a lot.
Is it a continuous process? Do you continue to learn and develop and train and get stronger?
Yeah, workman's comp. They sent me back. They're probably like 4 or 6, 8 months after I got out of it and went home. And I got to do like the robotic legs and stuff like that, and some stuff I didn't get to work out when I was initially there.
Do you know much about the robotic legs, and if that's something that's likely to develop in your lifetime?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll develop it a lot more because when I was using them, they were big old bulky things. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I mean, they still work, so yeah. And that's where I figured out I could crawl there.
So I remember seeing videos of you making progress and being able to move your legs,
Hmm.
and so um, at that point in time, I wasn't terribly experienced with spinal injuries, and I did, and to me that meant that you were making a recovery that was likely to go further and further and farther.
Hmm.
And what was that about? What can you tell me about what that progress
Um,
was like?
Literally one day I was just sitting watching TV and I was bored, and I was looking down at my legs and I was just trying to move them. And I saw it move a little bit, and I started freaking out. And then from that day on, every time I sat down to do anything, like I'm sitting here, I'm just moving my legs. You know what I mean? To just to do it, maybe get the muscle stronger, maybe some nerve will start. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So yeah,
So,
that's.
so did that develop to a point and then it
Hmm.
stopped developing, or is that something you're
No,
still working on?
it's yeah, I'm still working on it. I mean, I can walk with a walker from probably here to that dang table over there.
Wow. And is that a function directly of all the work that you put in?
Hmm.
Wow.
Doctors told me I'd never walk again.
So does that give you uh,
Motivation.
motivation and courage and hope and
Exactly.
stuff?
Exactly.
So do you think that there will be technological advances that will make you be able to do some of those things again?
Yeah, there's been a lot of stuff with like the stem cell stuff. I've just been waiting, you know what I mean, to get all the kinks out and stuff like that. But I'm done. I would be okay to try it.
And I imagine that care is probably expensive. Is that correct?
Yeah, it probably is, but I know they're probably doing like trials and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, if I keep working at it, I mean, I'm sure I'll be able to walk someday.
It seems like it's an exciting time to be alive because they are making such advances in technology and healthcare technology.
There's a lot. There's a lot more stuff than when I was in the hospital.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.